Hello, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde, Ani. My name is Dr. Christina Semeniuk, and I would like to welcome you all to our very first presentation in our FishCAST seminar series. And I'm pleased to introduce you to the new funding program. I'm excited to tell you all about it. But before we begin, I wanted to stress the importance that FishCAST acknowledges that our universities, our collaborator organizations, and our research all benefit from and are situated on the traditional and unceded territories and lands of Indigenous nations. FishCAST acknowledges the rights of the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people of Turtle Island. FishCAST is also primarily administered by the University of Windsor, which does sit on the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations. And these include the Ojibwa, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi. FishCAST, we're really trying to strive to move beyond land acknowledgements such as this one, and where possible into meaningful partnership and relationship building that acknowledges the history, the connection to, and knowledge of the land on which we're situated. Our goal is to try and decolonize science, address systemic barriers in our fields, and to work collaboratively to overcome all of them. Because after all, we're all treaty people. So thank you, everyone, for being here today. The first thing I want to tell you about is, well, what exactly is FishCAST? Well, FishCAST is an acronym that stands for Fisheries Management and Conservation Careers in Science and Technology. This is a 6-year grant that has been funded by NSERC. So from 2020, which was in September 2020, is our first year, going to go on for 6 years, funded by NSERC. And what this program is, it's a training program that runs in parallel to a graduate student's graduate research program already. So a graduate student is doing their research at an affiliated university. And what FishCAST does is provide added value. And what makes FishCAST unique as a training program is that although there are a bunch of different CREATE programs that are funded across Canada, ours is the only one that really does focus on Canada's freshwater systems. And so it's unique in that way. And I guess the question is, well, why now? Why were we funded to try to train tomorrow's leaders in Canada's freshwater systems and in management and conservation? Well, that's because in response to the economic importance, finally, the recognition of the freshwater fishery sector, because of the increase in demand for healthy food, and because of the ongoing loss of aquatic biodiversity, Canada is initiating an innovative programs to be able to support freshwater resource and fisheries. So, for example, the Canada Nature Fund has created a program to be able to address aquatic freshwater species at risk. We have the experimental lakes area that has now been, I guess, re-recognized as being a leader in being able to restore Canadian freshwater research. Genome Canada in 2018 put out a large-scale applied research call for fisheries and aquaculture, recognizing the need to ensure the health of our fish stocks. We also have the Habitat Stewardship Program, which is providing funding for incorporating safeguards to protect freshwater fish habitat. And also, Canada's Senate Standing Committee on Fisheries actually recommends that we double aquaculture production in the next decade. And you can see all of these initiatives that have been recently undertaken by Canada and the Canadian government. And all of these initiatives are going to need trained professionals and scientists. And an added bonus to all of this is that the employment market has never actually looked better in terms of fisheries careers in science and technology. There's been a positive trend, and this is a report done by Eco-Canada, which are the Environmental Careers Organization of Canada. And this positive trend predicts for the employment market in freshwater fisheries a benefit all the way until at least 2024, creating a quote unquote stable, vibrant, and diverse future for core fisheries workers. Now, what's interesting is that while trainees are graduating from universities with basic scientific and technical expertise, and these are the so-called hard skills, well, employers want more. And that's because our trainees can sometimes lack the hands-on experiences that would distinguish them as potential employees and have them stand out as leaders of the pack. Sometimes the trainees that are graduating from universities are lacking the broad understanding of the policy and the regulatory issues that are associated with freshwater fisheries and conservation. The employers really want to have the trainees and their potential employees be well versed and familiar with novel cutting edge technologies for monitoring fish stock, fish health, fish populations, as well as the assessment of the health of these populations, as well as individuals. And lastly, it is key that employers want the trainees to be well-versed in capacity building for co-producing initiatives with Indigenous communities, because it's not just a moral obligation, but it's also a legal right. And so given all that what employers are asking for, FishCAST listened. So FishCAST, along with our FishCAST team of principal investigators across different universities, as well as our partners, we developed our program in direct response to the needs of potential employers in the freshwater fish conservation and fishery sectors. And again, our collective work boasts the full involvement of academic and non-academic partners. So let me introduce you to our academic team. You've already met me. I am the director of FishCAST. I am led by my co-conspirator, Dr. Catherine Febria from the University of Windsor, where I'm also from, and she's the associate director of FishCAST. We also have other academics from different universities in Canada. First, we've got Dr. Céline Odette from the Université du Québec à Rimouski. We also have Dr. Stephen Cook from Carleton University. On our team, we've got Dr. Brian Dixon from the University of Waterloo. Dr. Margaret Docker is a member of FishCAST, and she's from the University of Manitoba. Dr. Daniel Heath is from the University of Windsor. Dr. Nick Mandrak is from the University of Toronto. We also have on our team Dr. Brian Neff from Western, and we've got Dr. Trevor Pitcher from the University of Windsor. And leading and rounding out the pack is Dr. Barbara Zielinski, also from the University of Windsor. But we're more than just an academic team. We're also supported by an amazing support staff and by the wonderful Katrina Kishik, who's our Indigenous Partnership Coordinator and our Program Coordinator Extraordinaire, and the person you're probably going to be speaking most often with in terms of being the face and the point of contact with FishCAST, and that is Kendra Thompson Kumar. So that's our academic community as well as our support community of FishCAST. But we also have many partners that are involved in FishCAST, and our partners come from government. So at the federal level, the provincial level, conservation authorities. We also have industry partners. We've got environmental NGOs as well as Indigenous communities. And I think what the draw is to become a partner with FishCAST is that being a partner, one can actually try and shape the future careers of upcoming scientists for what you really need in your sector. So you could have a hand in shaping the future of your potential employees. And that's because FishCAST recognizes as one of our main goals that there are multiple and a myriad of different careers in fisheries, conservation and management in the science and technology sectors. And so we understand that our graduate students, they're going to go into academia potentially as a future career. They can go into government employment, into industry, whether or not it's consultancy. And they can join nonprofit organizations, and they can also join and bring all their knowledge to the communities and based on local and Indigenous community needs. So what does this all mean? What is FishCAST actually trying to do? I mentioned already, it's an added value kind of experience for graduate students that are already doing their research in their own program at their own university. And what I mean by added value is that we actually have a curriculum. And if you have to think of one thing about FishCAST and take one thing away from FishCAST in today's presentation, is to associate it with something called internships. And these internships are exactly where the students are doing their research for their degree. And yet we want to be able to structure and offer different types of, let's say, career streams. So for example, if a student is really interested in going on and becoming employed in applied sector, well, they're going to probably internship with our partners that are in industry or linked to a community. If they're more involved and they want to pursue a career in policy, again, in different types of applied research, well, then their internships and their research can take place with NGOs or governments and communities as well. Again, if students are more interested in the pure academic route, well, that's who they're going to be partnering with. And they'll be doing lab exchanges potentially with other partners at different universities. And so it depends, again, right, on the tailored career goal of our trainees. But we also ask that these internships just go above and beyond and just providing, whether or not it's a field site or it's a collection of already collected data, or whether or not you're working and partnering with the partnership directly in the field or in the lab, but to add a kind of more hands-on experience in terms of, okay, what does the organization look like? To be invited in on potential meetings, on discussions, again, to be a fly on the wall to see how the operation runs. And so the students don't just get an opportunity to conduct research with a partnership, but get to learn about the organization and what it would take to be a viable, credible, and a marketable employee within that sector. FishCAST is also putting forward professional workshops and lectures and technical workshop seminars. And again, the topics are dictated by our partners. So we have partners in the applied research community that want our trainees to learn about project management and have scientific literacy. Those in policy, they want our trainees to have professional or technical workshops in fishery assessment technologies, fishery policy, transboundary issues. Those that are in the more pure and even the applied academic routes, they are notifying, okay, these are the statistics that we most commonly use in our career. Here are trends and new technologies that we're hearing about that we really want the trainees that are coming out of FishCAST to know about. And the more academic route might be about bioinformatics or genomics bioinformatics in R, or how does one model with uncertainty? When students are doing these professional technical workshops, they can range from either a couple of hours, a few hours, to spanning a couple of weeks with work directly with a partner or FishCAST PIs and some work on their own or collectively with the group. We also plan on putting together a field course, COVID permitting. Again, just maximum of one that the trainees are expected to take, which is would act like a capstone. This field course would take into account all the different types of lectures and seminar series and really put it into practice. We also ask that our FishCAST trainees attend an annual FishCAST symposium and present their work, and again, at these symposia will be attended by professionals in the career, and whether or not it's academic, government, industry, NGO, or communities, to showcase what they're doing, and again, to make them more marketable. And again, a really, really important aspect of FishCAST is to have these JEDI events, which is justice, equity, diversity, inclusion, as well as indigeneity. And it's really important to train students in terms of the barriers and systemic barriers that they're currently facing, they will be facing, and ways to overcome them. And I know I'm talking about graduate students, so for example, master's students and PhD students, but I don't want postdoctoral fellows to be left out, because postdoctoral fellows definitely have a role to play in FishCAST in terms of not just their own research project and taking a team leadership role, but they can lead knowledge products such as journal articles, policy papers, technical reports, and offering any of these professional workshops, again, to show their leadership qualities and if they're really interested in pedagogy as well. And so I've talked about the career streams that we try to tailor towards each student, and I've given you a bit of a hint on what we're going to be training them in terms of the added value and the professional soft and hard development skills. But what kind of research are students expected to do? Well, it is affiliated with their supervisor, exactly, and what their interests are. That's aligned with the partnership, again, with this co-development and co-production in mind. But FishCAST really does align across 4 different research themes. And the first one being ecosystem and habitat assessment. So for the principal investigators and partnerships, as well as their trainees who are interested in this theme, this is where trainees can learn to examine the effects of land use and land use change on the physiochemical characteristics and dynamics of freshwater ecosystems that then can impact fish habitat, fish health, fish assessment. Here they'll be learning to explore linkages between flow regime in lakes and rivers, how climate change factors in, and the effects on fish populations, again, with fish being at the root, but to actually assess, okay, ecosystem and habitat changes. And if they're interested in pursuing this research theme, they're going to be learning of ecosystem-based approaches to the restoration of fish habitats. Our theme number 2, we've got principal investigators, our PIs, and our partners and our trainees who'd be interested in this theme, which is fisheries ecology and exploitation. And here, trainees will examine the ecological theories that are foundational for modern freshwater fisheries assessment and fisheries conservation. They'll be exploring here the risks and benefits of eating freshwater fishes. Again, that's linked to the ecology and exploitation as a resource. And they're going to receive training on how to conduct laboratory, computer-based, analytical, practical skills that are associated with fisheries ecology research and management. And again, this can all be done through their internship, through the workshops that are being held, through the fish courses, et cetera, et cetera. Our theme 3 in FishCAST deals with fish health and fitness. So here we've got principal investigators, we've got partners, and we've got students and trainees that are really keen on examining factors that impact fish health, but that can also inform the risks and benefits to people, especially and potentially in Indigenous communities. Here, students can explore the relationship between individual and population fish health of exploited stocks, and so how the health of an individual can scale up and to affect the stock health. As well, students will be receiving training approaches that include transcriptomics, so different types of genomic techniques, ecophysiology, immunology, and behavioral profiling. And again, all of these themes can go together into our 4th research theme, which kind of deals with fish culture. And here's in a sense where trainees with the principal investigators and partners will be examining the stressors that are faced by fish reared in culture facilities, whether or not they're reared for restoration, whether or not they're reared for consumption, for food security. All of these go together where the trainees will be exploring the health and the adaptability of hatchery fish for supplementation, species at risk, for consumption. And they're going to learn the mitigating efforts of fish culture stocking and outcome monitoring. So how do we monitor the success of released fish? What should we be looking for? What are the indicators? What are the signs? How do we make sure that any kind of restoration or species at risk augmentation has been successful? How do we ensure that the fish are healthy for consumption as well? So if these are any research themes that seem of interest to you, amazing. Then you'd fit in really, really well with our FishCAST research themes as well. And I wanted to stress again and to re-stress that these Jedi plus indigeneity principles really are woven throughout the entirety of FishCAST, because from the get-go, from the outset, it's really important that we acknowledge and we showcase that we value diversity in thought. We respect differences in ways of knowing and in doing and in being. We're trying to normalize inclusivity and collaboration across all aspects of the program in terms of dealing with our trainees, as well as the partnerships that we're co-producing and co-engaging. And we want to be able to maximize these partnerships with Indigenous communities and other local knowledge experts as well. And so if you're interested in joining FishCAST, huzzah, that is great news. We've been talking about graduate students, so we've got, again, we support the master's students, whether or not they're in science. We do have some funds to allocate towards supporting students that are in the non-science and engineering streams, and we do support PhD students. And that's not to say that undergraduates are not welcome. We do have undergraduates in our program as they're finding their way. It's almost like a pre-research project before they enter their graduate degree, and especially if they're interested already in starting a summer program, collecting their data ahead of time, just gaining experience. We do have some funds set aside for undergraduate students as well as for postdoctoral fellows. So what about the partners who are potentially watching this presentation? There are other academics. Well, there is actual space for you as well in FishCAST. And that's, again, you can become involved, whether or not you're from industry, government, communities, conservation authorities. Everyone is welcome to help co-produce projects with us and with any of our interested principal investigators from our academic team. And again, this also gives you the ability to shape your future employees and the skills that you want them to be well-versed in. And so you can become involved by offering internships. You can become involved and being on our different committees in FishCAST. So we've got an internship committee where we oversee how internships are going and the evaluations of the internships. We've got a curriculum committee where we oversee our offerings. Again, we've got representatives from all of these different sectors. So again, you have a say. We have an admissions committee as well as recruitment and mobility, and EDI committee. It's kind of enveloped in one that you could also become a member of if this is something that's really, really important for you. And if you're an academic watching this, we do support students through our universities, our partnership universities, as well as co-supervisory. And so if you're interested, please reach out to fishcast.ca, reach out to Kendra, or there's an email address as the first point of contact. We really, really welcome any questions you may have, as well as giving more talks to spread the word of FishCAST. If there's any time you want us to present to your organization, just please reach out and let us know. Here's just a couple of pictures with permission of some of our FishCAST trainees already in our program. We're so excited about, and we're excited about all the research that they're doing and how diverse it all really, really is. I think we're off to a fantastic start. And again, these are our partnership universities that are involved. And again, FishCAST works to mostly fund the student's salary. And so 80% of the money that FishCAST has in terms of the funding, it goes towards student salary to make sure then that they can concentrate on other aspects of career development. So we cover, for the most part, 80% of our funds get funneled towards the students. And we've got some extra money to help with travel for some of the, for example, the annual symposia. And so I'm happy to take any questions after this. Again, please reach out. I'm so thankful for you being here today. Thank you so much. Merci, Shimagwech. And I hope to see all of you really soon. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Bonjour tout le monde. Bon appétit.